All right, so welcome back to our Living Well at Western program. I'm Cassie. I'm going to be taking us through our yoga practice today. As we get started here, I want to ensure that we are definitely comfortable where we've decided to set up shop today, so to speak. So if you'd like to just get yourself laying down in that supine position, we will begin in Shavasana. However you'd like to lay yourself down, go ahead and just relax the shoulders into the ground. Noticing our hips, left and right side, as they settle into the floor as well. Choosing to have legs out straight, or if that's bothering our backs at all, you can always have the knees bent and pointing in, resting against one another. That's a nice position for those lower back. So please feel free just to check in with ourselves and notice how that feels now. Hands can rest on the belly or come down by our sides, palms up to the sky. I'll ask that we close our eyes. Relax the muscles in our face, in our neck, and in our shoulders. Give ourselves permission to be here, to be present, to be only concerned with the right now. Practicing mindfulness means that we are present. We're not being distracted by thoughts of the past or the future, and that we're doing so in a non-judgmental way. We're not judging ourselves. We're not comparing ourselves with anyone. There is no competition, and we've checked our ego at the door. Understanding that this is all about taking care of ourselves. Allowing any of those thoughts that are racing around our head, just check them, putting them in a box, lock the box, and put the key somewhere where you can't reach it. If those thoughts are really important, don't worry, you can get them out of the box. You can deal with them after class. I really would like to invite you and challenge you to just focus again on the here and now. What are your legs telling you? What about your arms, your shoulders? Now let's really focus on our breath. Taking that inhale through the nose, and you can breathe out through the nose or through the mouth, whichever you prefer. Just a nice natural rhythm, whichever works best for you today. We're going to pay attention to our breathing. Maybe we haven't been practicing our breathing lately, or maybe not at all since the classes at Western stopped. If that's the case for you, I'll invite you to really practice our diaphragmatic breathing, taking that inhale and allowing the diaphragm, the stomach, the rib cage to lift to the ceiling. And when you exhale, allow the abdominal muscles to relax. Any stress or worry melts away into the floor beneath us. We'll do this a couple of times. Again, we're just checking in with ourselves, maybe learning whether or not we haven't been breathing properly. It's a silly concept, but one that we need to almost ask ourselves just regularly throughout the day, especially when we have all of these worries and stressors in our life. On our next big inhale, I'd like us to reach our arms all the way up above our head, reach them long on the floor. Notice what happens as we allow the ribcage to expand even more, perhaps lifting those lower backs off the ground as we really open up through the chest, the back, the shoulders. Go ahead and take the left hand, hold on to the right arm, and just pull that right arm a little bit longer. Notice how that feels. And I'll ask that we do the same with the left arm now, grabbing onto it with the right hand, and just pull that left arm a little bit longer. Be gentle, be kind to your body. And we're going to really listen to what the body has to tell us today. Releasing those arms, taking our time, let's gather our knees into our chest, holding on to the legs with our hands. You can hold the shins or behind the knees on the thighs, whichever is more comfortable. Just start rocking side to side. I love knees to chest, giving ourselves that lower back massage, kneading out those knots that seem to linger and persist. Noticing too if we're holding any tension through the front of our hips. Continuing to hold our knees to chest, give them a nice tight squeeze and roll the ankles. Let's encourage proper blood flow, circulation all the way through to those feet. Very nice. As we hold the knees still, let's keep a hold of our right knee and lower the left leg all the way down to the ground. We're going to angle the right leg out towards that right shoulder, pressing the left leg firmly into the mat. If you've done my classes before, you know that I quite often will start with this single knee stretch. It allows us to learn how tight or how open we are across our hips. It's also a really great stretch for the lower backs if we're feeling tightness. As we continue to hold the right knee, I'd like us to draw it across towards the left shoulder now. This can be a microscopic movement, or it can be quite large. Again, recognizing that yoga is an individual practice. We're going to all look different as we hold the same pose. But I want us to really feel and pay attention to what the body's telling us today, particularly now on the outside of our right hip. Taking our inhale, draw the knee into the chest. Exhale, lower the leg down to the floor. Inhale, drawing the left knee up into the chest. Open the knee out towards the left shoulder. Press the right leg firmly into the mat now. And as we hold this stretch, let's check in with our shoulders, our neck. What about the jaw and the eyebrow? Trying to keep those facial features soft, free of tension. And as we continue to stretch across our hips, now we'll draw the knee over towards the right shoulder. This leg may react differently than the right side, so just paying attention to that too. Are you able to keep the knee in as close? Does it go over across midline as far? Checking in, understanding our differences from left and right. Take an inhale, draw the knee into the middle. Exhale, lower the leg down. Feet come flat onto the floor, taking them about hip-width distance apart, making sure that hips and shoulders are still square. We're going to engage through our abdominal muscles. Taking hands to the side of our head, a little bit of abdominal flexion work here. Tucking the chin slightly, we inhale, lift the head and shoulders up into our crunch. Exhale, slowly lower down. We'll do a few of these. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, notice the legs stay still. Inhale, lift. Exhale, nice and slow. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale. 2 more of these. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And inhale, lift up. Exhale, down. I want us to lift up one more time. Notice if we're holding tension in our necks. Go ahead and just tuck the chin a little bit as we lift higher, holding those abdominal muscles strong. If for whatever reason this crunched position feels uncomfortable, just take the head back down. As we hold our abdominal flexion, we're going to start marching the legs. We inhale, lift the right leg up about 90 degrees. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left. Exhale, down. Inhale, right. Exhale. Inhale, left. Exhale, trying to stay still. Inhale, right. Exhale. Inhale, left. Exhale. Inhale, right. Exhale. Inhale, left. Keep going with this, or join me in a twist. Inhale, right, cross that left elbow over. Exhale, down. Inhale, left. Exhale, lower. Inhale, right, try not to pull on the neck. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left. Exhale, one more each side. Inhale, right. Exhale, down. And inhale, left. Exhale, lowering all the way down. Feel free to just relax the upper body or maybe even draw the knees into the chest for a little reprieve here. I told you I love knees to chest. Taking our time, we'll bring the feet back down to the ground, keeping the knees bent at 90 degrees. You may choose to draw them in closer or farther apart. We're going to be taking our glute bridges, so that's personal preference with your knees. I like to hold, as I mentioned, about a 90-degree angle. Taking the arms down, press the hands, all 10 fingers, all 10 toes into the ground firmly, keeping our abdominal muscles engaged. As we inhale, squeeze the glutes, lift the hips towards the sky. Exhale, slowly lower down. Inhale, lift up, squeezing the glutes, activating those pelvic control muscles. Exhale, lowering one vertebrae at a time. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, lower. Two more times. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Last one. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, releasing down. Good. Now let's take our time as we slowly work our way over onto our side. We're going to pick ourselves all the way up and over onto hands and knees into tabletop position. Let's take our hands directly beneath our shoulders. Knees are underneath our hips. Try to relax those feet in the back. Sometimes we don't even realize that we're holding tension. So just see if we can flatten them out. And as we hold our hands directly beneath shoulders, just watch that we're not hyperextending those elbows, but keeping slight bend, ensuring that we're using muscles and not stressing joints. Taking that spinal balance, we'll reach our right arm directly in front of us, thumb towards the sky. Press that left leg back, lowering down. Inhale, left arm forward, right leg back. Exhale, down. Inhale, right. Imagine balancing a bowl of water on your back. Exhale, not spilling a drop. Inhale, left. Exhale, very good. Inhale, right. Exhale. Inhale, left. Exhale, one more on each side. Nice long lines. Inhale, right. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left. Exhale, down. Holding it here, let's find cows and cats. We take an inhale, untuck that tailbone, draw the chest forward, look tall through the crown of the head. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, round the back as we draw the belly button up nice and high, round the shoulders, tuck the chin. Inhale, open the chest, looking forward, lengthening neck into cow. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, round the back, nice and high up to cat. Inhale, open the chest forward. Exhale, round the back. We'll do this just one more time each. Inhale, open. Maybe get a little bit longer opening through heart center. And exhale, tuck the tailbone, draw those belly buttons up nice and high. Puff through the chest and shoulder blades. Pressing back into child's pose. Sinking the hips down and towards the heels. Extending those arms forward, actively pressing the hands into the mat. If we're choosing, however, today's practice to be for relaxation, feel free to just bring the arms in, relax the head on the hands. Whatever your intention is for the day, relaxation, stress, mindfulness, just checking out from anything else, making sure that we're staying true to that. I like to make sure that I'm getting some flexibility gains and range of motion. So I'm going to actively press my hands in. While we're here, let's take thread the needle, drawing that right arm underneath the left shoulder, laying into your right ear. Now everyone's going to look different as we do this one. I'm just going to show it from the front if anyone's struggling whatsoever. Whether or not you get that ear and shoulder down to the ground, that's completely based off of your flexibility and range of motion. Again, let's not compare ourselves. We are all going to look different here. Listen to the body. Coming through the middle. Let's take that left arm, thread it all the way underneath the right shoulder. Laying down in or towards the left ear. Trying to sink those hips still back down in towards the heels. Focusing on our breathing. Inhaling through the nose. And exhale. Very nice. Coming through the middle. Let's lift ourselves up in through tabletop again. We're going to take our first lunge of the class. This will be our runner's lunge. We step our right foot forward, helping the knee get right above the ankle, however you need to do that. With the knee on top of the ankle, let's lift ourselves up. Notice how we're doing with our balance today. Are we okay with that bottom knee on the mat? Do you need to grab something to be more comfortable? Then we take our shoulders and our hips, keep them lined up to the front as we reach our arms nice and tall. Decide if we like them lifted or would prefer them down through heart center. Personal preference, make sure we enjoy the pose. Now, as we hold runner's lunge, again, I'll show it from the front for anyone who'd like another perspective. We're going to make sure that our shoulders are level and not way up around the ears, that our rib cage hasn't splayed open, that we're keeping it strong, and that we're noticing that we haven't tipped through the hips, keeping them nice and level. Good. Continuing to hold runner's lunge, my next challenge. Just to check in, let's try closing our eyes. If that's not something we're comfortable with, find something you can look at forward, whether it's me on the screen or something on the wall. Notice your breathing. Notice if you're clenching your feet or your toes. Try to expand through the digits. Good. Take one more big inhale. Exhale, release the hands down. However you need to sweep that right leg back and then press back into child's pose. Checking in with the legs, how do they feel? Before we continue the runner's lunge on the other leg, we're going to take another shoulder stretch. Walk both hands over to the right side, placing the left hand on top, and then exaggerate the pull down that left side of the body. Feel free to relax the arm. And just notice any stretch you might be feeling down the outside of that left arm, in through the shoulder, the rib cage. Slowly walk the hands over towards the left side now. Take the right hand on top and then just emphasize that right hip pressing away, stretching down the right shoulder. Very nice. Let's come through the middle. Take our time as we move ourselves up through tabletop again. Repeating our runner's lunge, this time with the left foot sweeping forward. Helping the leg get through if you need it. Knee above ankle. Hips and shoulders face front. As we bend into that front leg, let's make sure we're engaging through abdominal muscles. Rib cage is strong. Arms are high. Shoulders are low. Retracting in the back. Feeling ourselves get taller through the crown of our head. Feel free to close our eyes or to stay looking front. Again, I'll ask that we check in with our feet. We want to spread the feet, the toes, the heels, lift up out of the arches. Something, again, we may not necessarily think about while maintaining that left knee placement, stacking it on top of the ankle. One more big inhale. Exhale, fanning that down. However we need to, let's help that leg back, pressing into child's pose. Now, as we are in child's pose, I am going to invite those of us who are interested to join me in downward facing dog. We actively press 10 fingers into the mat. We curl our 10 toes and lift our hips nice and high. Now, as we find this triangular shaped kind of position here, tailbone is the highest. Hands and feet are point of contact on the ground. And then we can start to just pedal, toes to heels, right foot to left foot, experimenting with which position the foot or the legs can take that really gets into the fascia, the connective tissue, lengthens through tendons, muscles. What do we like? What does it feel like? I love yoga for this very reason. It gives us permission to explore, investigate, inquire within our own bodies and mind and spirit, checking in with ourselves, something we don't often take time to do. So as we're holding this down dog, I want us now to look at our feet to see if we can press the heels down towards the floor. Some of us are going to have maybe a baseball's distance between heel and foot or heel and floor. Maybe you're like me and you're flat on the ground. Again, that's going to be dependent on your calf, your Achilles, just learning that. How are we positioned today? And then pressing away from those fingers, press the chest back between the shoulders towards your knees. Keeping our knees as bent as they need to be. I want us to shake our head no. And then nod our head yes. Good. Let's come all the way forward into a plank. We're positioned on hands and toes. For those of us who prefer to come down to the knees, feel free to take that position now, maintaining flat backs. Belly's drawing in as we slow lower. This is called chaturanga. So as we chaturanga to the ground, that slow control, I want us to now lift up into baby cobra. Hands can stay on the ground, shoulder blades pull together, long necks as we lift the chest. Slowly lower that down. Press back into child's pose. Notice how that felt to go through that transition. Choosing to stay in child's pose or come back up into down dog with me, we're going to flow again. So again, this can be done from child's pose or down dog. We inhale forward into plank, with or without the knees coming to the mat. We exhale chaturanga. Inhale cobra, baby or full. We'll do the flow 2 more times. Back into down dog or child's pose. Inhaling forward into plank. Exhale chaturanga. Inhale cobra. Exhale push back, down dog or child. Last time. Inhaling forward through plank. Knees can come down as we exhale chaturanga. Inhale scoop up, cobra. Exhale push back, down dog or child. Holding it here for just 2 more breaths. Slowly bend those knees as we walk hands and feet together towards the top of our mat, coming up halfway into monkey. Knees are a little bit soft, pulling those belly buttons in nice and high. Backs are flat. Again, I want that bowl of water resting on our backs, pulling those shoulder blades together. So we're taking out the slouch, drawing the shoulders in, working on postural awareness. From here, let's switch weight through heels into chair pose. Lifting the arms high, or preferring to take heart center, drawing bellies in, keeping backs flat, weights back in the heels. As we hold that chair, activating those bigger muscle groups throughout the legs and the core. Take a couple more breaths, maybe just get a little bit lower in our seat. Next inhale, we lift up nice and high, big reach tall. Exhale, release. Very nice. So as we're standing up, I'd like us now, if you feel free to grab a drink, you can absolutely do so. Otherwise, we're going to stand at the top of our mat and prepare for just a little standing series. Good. From here, roll those shoulders down. Right foot stays front. Let's bring our left foot back so that we can get ready to come into a warrior 1 position. Bringing the arms up nice and tall. I'll go through the technique of it in a moment. Good. So as we hold warrior 1, we have right foot front, left foot down on the ground. We want both sets of feet, heels and toes glued to the floor. So that back foot, you might have to rotate open a little bit. Keeping the shoulders and hips stacked and facing front. Arms can be raised or down through heart center. Okay. Let me just come back through the side. Closing our eyes if we'd prefer. I always encourage, whenever we get the opportunity, to close our eyes Just notice how it feels if we can really just take away that visual stimulus and the sense and listen to our body, maybe engage, get a little bit deeper, drawing in our breathing, our awareness of breath, feeling that tactile sensation of pressing down through the feet, lifting tall through the crown of head. Okay. Wherever our hands are now, I'd like us to bring them down towards our hips. We're going to straighten out the leg. Now, right away, if this stance feels too big, go ahead and shorten it. We're coming into a hamstring stretch. We hold our hips and start to hinge forward, flat back into pyramid. As soon as we feel a hamstring stretch, we just stop. You can place the hand on that front knee with a slight knee bend, down through the shin, the foot, the floor. If anyone has yoga blocks that they're using, this is a great pose. Just extend the length of the arm if you're feeling like that would be really helpful. Any props that we have, pillows, cushions, running shoes, water bottles, I've seen it all, just to help take that stress or strain off if you're not touching the floor comfortably. I want us to try to keep our backs flat. Again, that front knee is as bent or straight as we need it without becoming locked. Now, to avoid becoming tight or tensed in that fight or flight sort of rhythm, we want to encourage the parasympathetic nervous system by taking our inhale, just reassessing, readjusting, and then as we exhale nice and long, try to trigger that rest and repair. Very good. Slowly, we're going to bring ourselves all the way down into a lunge. So wherever you are, take your time as we bring our hands to frame that front foot. We're down in a lunge and we sweep back into a plank. Plank can be on your toes or your knees. We try to keep our legs strong, our backs flat. We'll be pushing back through down dog, unless we prefer child's pose. We always have that option. We're going to take ourselves into a pigeon stretch, my favorite hip stretch. Looking up between your hands, I want you to kick your right foot all the way towards your left hand. And then your right knee comes towards your right hand. Bringing that left leg just down all the way to the ground. Again, if you're not familiar with pigeon, let me demonstrate that again. I'll do it from the side. Now from the front. So from down dog or child's pose, we'll take that right foot up so that your shin lines up with the front of the mat, and then your back leg lines up with the length of your mat. As we're here, settling into position, I want us to notice that our hips and shoulders are still staying level. We haven't all of a sudden dropped onto one side. And we can just relax our head, relax our arms. I always like to just let my forehead come down onto my hands. Again, I'm going to encourage you to listen to your breathing. Are you able to count in for a few seconds? Take a pause, and then exhale out for a few seconds. What are we feeling? Check in with that right hip, anywhere down the thigh, in through the back. Notice what that feels like. Is the sensation concentrating in the hip? We'll take one more inhale. And as we exhale, we can bring our hands to the floor. Now I want you to take your time getting out of this. Slowly, you can come through tabletop, press back in through down dog or a child's pose. The choice is your own. And then working our way in through a flow series if you'd like to work. Otherwise, stay in the stretch and hold it for a few breaths. If you're working with me, we inhale to plank. Exhale, lower chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, baby or full. Exhale, press back, down dog or child's pose. We'll do it twice more if you're working. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. How controlled can we be? Exhale, down dog or child's pose. One more time. Inhale, forward. Plank position. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, scooping up for cobra. Exhale, press back. down dog or child's. Take our time walking our hands and feet together. We'll come up halfway to monkey again, pressing the hands against the shins or the thighs, drawing those shoulder blades together. Slowly, slowly, I want us to transfer our weight back into our heels, lifting our chest high, sinking our hips down, a little bit lower. Slowly, slowly take a big inhale, lift up nice and tall. And exhale, release. We're going to take our warrior one now with our left foot forward. So please, taking our left foot down, we'll press our right foot into the ground behind us, reaching our arms up nice and tall. Remember, we can take our arms and lift them high, or we can keep them down in heart center. Placing that right foot, this time, down into the ground, opening the foot as much as you need to in order to press the heel into the floor. I want our shoulders and hips to stay front as we lift our arms up nice and tall, or keeping them down in heart center. Good. Notice if you want to close your eyes, or if you're able to balance forward. Notice your breathing. Good. Taking ourselves into our pyramid pose next. So we straighten out our legs. Again, if you need to shorten your stance, please feel free to do so. We're going to start to hinge forward. Hands can be on our thighs, our shin, our foot, or the floor. I'll do this from the side for anyone who needs just one more perspective. So from that split stance position, we're going to slowly, slowly work our way so that we're either pressing with hands on the shin, the foot, the yoga blocks, remember if we had them, or all the way down to the floor. Remember your breathing. Good, and we'll get ready to come into our very last stretch. Taking ourselves all the way down into our lunge from whatever position we were in. Hands coming down. Slowly, slowly step back into plank, pressing back into down dog or child's pose. From down dog or child's pose, we're coming into pigeon. So I need us to slowly look forward. Sweep our left foot up towards our right hand. Take the knee down and just be very careful. Careful in the sense that I want us to be comfortable in our position and not feel threatened at all. And then slowly, slowly lower the body. We can be on our hands, or we can stay up on our elbows. It's whatever we prefer. Take a couple of nice big breaths. I want us to just calm down. Try to stay nice and relaxed. And now slowly, we'll bring our hands back up underneath our shoulders. Take our time coming up through tabletop. And now together, I want us to bring ourselves all the way back into child's pose. Sinking our hips down towards our heels. Take a couple nice big breaths. Slowly, slowly, slowly. We can come all the way up and over, and you can lay all the way down onto your back. So as we lay all the way down to our back so that we can finish our practice together how we began, in Shavasana. Please feel free to do that now. At this point, I would normally ask you to put on your socks or sweaters, anything that would help you feel more comfortable. If you'd like to do that, you can also do that. Feel free to have our arms down by our side. or on our belly. Some people like to take right hand onto their lower belly and left hand onto the heart, just to really help you feel that tactile energy of heartbeat and abdominal muscles from the diaphragm rising with our breath. Closing our eyes if we haven't already. I want us to take a moment and just reflect on how we're feeling at this end stage, this final relaxation part of our class. Allowing those legs to just melt, allowing the abdominal muscles to relax, to let go of any tension in the neck and shoulders, to melt away into the ground beneath. Notice our breathing. Is it shallow and quick, or are we able to lengthen it and make it fuller and longer? I recommend counting to 5 with each inhale, taking a 1-second pause, and then exhale for 5. And we can repeat this cycle as many times as necessary. If you're noticing any of your thoughts or anyone becoming distracted, that's okay. Don't be hard on yourself. Mindfulness is difficult, and it's something that we need to continue to practice. So when you notice that thought creep in or your focus start to waver, just start counting your breaths again, or taking that body scan and checking in with your muscles, your body. How do you feel? We'll start to wiggle our fingers and our toes, reawakening the muscles, checking in again with the room that we're in. I always like to now draw those knees back into the chest, giving ourselves one final big hug. Feel free to take any extra stretches. Now that we've really started to work out some of those kinks, we may become more aware of areas in particular that need more focus this week. Slowly we can rock all the way over onto our sides, taking our time coming into that final seated posture. Feels so good after a little brief meditation. As we take those shoulders down our back, sitting with excellent posture, just sitting however is comfortable, we'll say our final goodbye together. With this, we take a big inhale, lifting hands all the way up to prayer. Exhale down through heart center. Namaste. Thank you very much, everyone. It was wonderful working with you again.